Hey, Crypto Media friends, welcome to another Overtime show here, Crypto Media Friends, here in Los Angeles, California, where we talk about crypto mania. I mean, a lot of things. That's the thing, is like in this Web3 umbrella of NFTs and metaverse, there's a lot of things going on, and almost to the point where I just like want to change the whole format of this show. Just like early on in the days, in the early episodes, what's up, OGs? Like, subscribe, hit the bell notification if you haven't. But people have been with me for a while. I would just go on and just talk, and this is why I do this live, because it's constantly changing, constantly evolving. I mean, let's talk about the FOMO of the day going on right now. Is Raid Party. It's a game. There's a series of heroes that you can buy for now 2 ETH, and again, I'm only mentioning this. I'm not saying go and FOMO into this, but it's something to look at. It's very nobody quite knows, when you go to the website. I mean, if you jump into Discord and really get into it, I think you can kind of get a sense of, the game that they're trying to bring to life, the largest MMO on Ethereum. And so, but in that comes a set of valuation that people are still trying to figure out. And I think that that's part of, the interest in the space. So we have these heroes who go up to 2 ETH of a floor, and then you have these fighters who join to kind of help buff up your fighter, and I think you can bring up to 20 to equal one hero. And so in terms of valuation, it's a bit lopsided at the moment because people are trying to understand how to play. So they're like FOMOing into this, not quite understanding other than I look at heroes and it's a 2. I look at fighters, it was at 0.5 like minutes ago. People are eating right through this floor because there's not much. Was there like 5? Yeah, there's 400 items left, and so this is going to get chewed right up, and the floor heading right up to 1 ETH, quite quick. Activity is pretty moving right now, as you can see, sort of leveling off, and people trying to understand what this is, but they're FOMOing based upon the understanding that there's something at 2 ETH. I'm not going to spend that, but I can probably get in the game with this. And so, we'll talk a lot about other games, especially Aradina is starting to really begin to settleize and cement, their gamification. And I'm super excited about that. So I can't wait I feel like I have to get like one of the founders like on a call here, because it's a really in-depth conversation. I think they've been planning a game for quite a long time, but people are jumping in head first into Raid Party. Is this me saying go get it? No, I'm saying let's look at the marketplace, make our own decisions, do your own gosh darn research. But it's just interesting how, again, the 8-bit nostalgia. If you just sprinkle in a little bit of anime these days, you're going to get some interesting hype. Another bit of a FOMO going on right now is Yeti Town. Yeti Town, it's kind of vacillating. I think there's a lot of downward sales pressure. You see 0.27. It went from 0.2 to maybe 3.8, and then back down to 2.7. But that's the thing. There's not much stock. And so when there's 383 items, it doesn't take much to move that floor, as we discuss. And so in terms of activity, it's pumping. It's pumping hard and pumping fast. And so relative. And so but because there's so little stock, you're going to see severe price movement in, again, a game that's, for me, I wasn't too excited about Yeti Town because there's nothing to talk about when you go to the website. But they do have, I think they're sort of their foot in the rock face is Shan as an advisor, and I think that Shan is one of those that's give him a follow on Twitter, but it's tough because that role of advisor is very broad. Very, very, very broad, and it only serves them to help pump their own bags in a sense. You kind of see Becker doing it a lot. You see everybody doing it a lot. We'll talk about some of the others that are doing it in this next segment. The next big FOMO reveal coming, next project, and I'll kind of show you how they're orchestrating that a bit more. But here you just have Shannon as an advisor, and he straight up says like, "Hey, I'm an advisor. Doesn't mean I'm super invested in the intellectual property of this." The only thing I think he does give is that like he doesn't think this is a rug. He looks at and again I look at also the team involved, and when you have a bunch of designers and developers that are for the most part doxed in some way, that they have at least existing Twitter accounts that have been around for a couple of years, actual names of developers, some of these things that help push this into the realm of not super rug, and so not completely anonymous. And I think that's the challenge these days. This team is like half in, half out, and so. But again, having Shan on that is huge, and I think that's part of why look at this project, even though it's going kind of bonkers with its floor and it has very limited volume. It's probably going to go up. No, zero financial advice here. Zero. None. This is for entertainment purposes only. Can't you tell by my voice and my really bad jokes? That's looking at this project is just an example of what bringing an advisor does that's trusted in the space. Because when you have Shannon there, it's just like, oh, okay, they're a part of this, and they've given so much advice in the past that there's a huge section of that following. He doesn't have a ton, because that's the thing, is like in this space it's very relative, and so you could be quite influential, with 20,000 followers, maybe more so than somebody with 100,000, 200,000, because people know you to be not fishing for an audience, especially in Twitter. A lot of people are just like, what color of sky would you like it to be tomorrow, just to like try and give you some engagement, or make it politicized or something like this, just to get people clicking and engaging in some sort of superficial way. But you have here, again, it behooves you to go and get somebody on your project that's trusted in this space, because it adds so much, obviously, credibility. And I think that's going to be a huge play in the future, the role of advisor to a lot of these projects. And so the next one that everyone's hyping into hard is Flooz. Flooz, well, that's the thing. It's like it's moving not super well, but I think the hype in this pre-reveal stage was considerable the past couple of days, and it's starting to cool off. But the hype I thought was interesting because it came from the association of you have a high snobbery article. More about that in a second. But you have a fairly public team, which I thought was super cool. And this public team is very centered in fashion and is very centered in existing media. And so you have the Daily Paper, and you have, which is a clothing brand in Europe, the cool parts. And so and so you have a very nice presentation of this art as well as this potential lifestyle play. And I think that's sort of the soup of the day right now is having things that are ostensibly part of flossing in the metaverse, as well as potentially in IRL. Like, we want to be able to go to places, and we want to be able to experience concerts hosted by Chris Rock and and these amazing things that these projects are able to offer when they're making so much gosh darn money. Sorry, I'm so tired. It's not that late in LA, but I tell you, it's just like the space really gets you down. So be sure to breathe and take care of yourself, because this stuff it can be all consuming, and I hope to help you guys shortcut this in terms of like understanding what's in the marketplace and what is what people are talking about and what I think you should be looking at in terms of building out your own projects, because that's the goal here. I think, we can talk about flipping all day, and I think as a collector, it's nice to have these conversations, to understand value, but more so, it's about value within our own projects. And so that's my hope for the takeaway. Please like, subscribe, hit the bell notification as I push my way to 500 subscribers. Thank you very much for watching. If you could subscribe for me, that'd be fantastic, because I want to be able to bring you guys more these finds. And so I'm very fortunate that I'm sort of in the right places at the right time, I suppose, to bring you guys a lot of interesting projects, like in these key stages. Like, I didn't bother with mint anymore. Like, if you can tell, if you've been following the project, you knew I was like hardcore about mint very early on. But to whitelist these days is just, it's ridiculous, and it's so far away from offering to other people to try and like whitelist, to do 10,000 posts in Discord and do these runarounds and art competitions and giving away your talent for a shot at minting with them. It's a hustle, and it's, if I can bring some, as I did with Nuclear Nerds, I will, because I think those projects are quality, and at the time they were definitely overlooked. They're not overlooked right now, guys. If you were on Nuclear Nerds, you are doing okay. Somebody actually just sniped one of mine today for a nice 10x gain, but I kind of took, after that, I took my other ones like off the market. I was like, oh crap, I totally forgot about that guy, because sometimes you price these like a long time ago, and you get these emails. If you don't get the email notifications for OpenSeas, they're great, because you can wake up and you see all the offers come in, and you can see, oh crap, that's sold. I totally forgot about that, was my reaction this morning. And so Flooz, founder daily paper, fashion brand, amazing. What I thought was interesting is co-founder High Snobbery. Now, High Snobbery is the one who kind of did this like big article, like, hey, in culture, Amsterdam streetwear label Daily Paper is getting in on the NFT game. A bit of a shell, creating in partnership with Flooz, a 3.0 startup. The collectible avatars are reminiscent of those infamous Bored Apes. So now we're getting into real shill space. You haven't even told us at this point that you're a holder. You're part of the the founding committee here. But I think that's again why I look at this. You don't have to go run out and get it. I think the art's going to be okay. I think prices are going to come down a little bit, as sort of this initial push comes down. I think I heard the reveal. I don't want to say Monday. I don't want to say exactly when. This is kind of a hearsay, but for it to then represent, things that I think are important in terms of utility for modern NFTs, the lifestyle angle and the fashion angle is important, and it's cool. So, but you see how the hype train, why I'm presenting this to you is to not go run to OpenSeas and to dial up. Let's see how many items are for sale here. Dial up 600, man. That's actually really aggressive. That's a lot of holders. That's a lot of people holding for mint, I will say. On a 10K, holding at 600 there's a lot of confidence that this project is going to deliver by these holders. I don't know what the spread is in terms of how many people are holding how many. If there's any whales involved here. That traditionally should have a much thinner floor, but I'm kind of surprised that it's just really condensed and really dense here in the 0.55x area. So interesting pricing action, but that's saying a lot in terms of what people believe they can get in terms of value out of this. Certainly all the rarities, etc., will play into it, but are those rarities, going to be super rad? These look cool. These are great. They're good. So nothing that's super blowing me away, but I think that's the thing about lifestyle is, when you leverage something that's existing, like daily paper, high snobbery, you have this ability, and why I'm showing this project again, in traditional media to leverage hype. And so much like you would do for a film or what have you, but I think a good publicist, I've been talking to some publicists in this space recently, and I'm finding a lot of value that people aren't really seeing, because when mainstream gets hold of and hears about it, kind of from a top down, there's a lot of interest, and people will go check it out, because currently where we're getting all our information is from Discord and Twitter. And I think if you have mainstream media kind of pushing down into that, seeping back up into those shared stories, because that's the thing is we're all sharing these headlines and these ideas that we're seeing from a publicity side, and that helps stimulate a lot of interest in projects. And sometimes, as we can see with high snobbery, that can be self-injected into the space, and so you have self-injections all around. Injections. It's a funny word. So Flooz, I think, is an interesting example of that, and it's interesting to look at how each of these projects has been grabbing attention within the space. The space, and this is why I'm going to go into the next section of just like keeping one foot in crypto, because it's at this time you can kind of get a sense of like some real insane floors on a lot of those blue chips that we talked about 2 months ago. If you got into any of those, you were doing really, really well, especially after Art Basel. As I was saying, all the blue chips were going to get all the attention from collectors with money to spend, which seems like a pittance to them, but now they're quite happy because they spent anywhere from $10,000 to $25,000, and now they're holding things that are in six figures. And I think as that sort of that momentum isn't going to keep going, and I think that's the thing. That's the misnomer that a lot of people are pushing in this space, and it's sort of a head scratcher. Like, oh yeah, there's room for 20,000 mutants to go to 50 ETH. That's a lot of buyers. Maybe if Coinbase comes in, potentially. But that's a lot of buyers in this space. It's unprecedented currently. But that's the thing. We're relatively early. There's just maybe 1 million active wallets in on OpenSea, and I'm just sort of thinking, like a buddy of mine was like, "What? But Wax has even more." But I feel like those people are probably the same people that have a Wax wallet, that have an Ethereum wallet and MetaMask, and so you have a very early time when we're about to get upwards of 30 million new wallets from Coinbase into the marketplace of NFTs, but I don't know what's going to be on Coinbase. I'm for sure. It's going to be apes. For sure it's going to be cats. It's going to be a lot of the blue chips, but also a lot of older chips that have chipped off a little bit. And so in terms of, a vibrant marketplace, I don't know what they're going to offer. I hope it's not a version of the of a marketplace that we saw 3 months ago that they vetted and now are bringing it there. Because to me, then that's missing out on Flooz or things that are new and contemporary. And again, this space is constantly changing. Who knew what an Azuki bean was 3 weeks ago? Who knew what a Zipsy was until 3 days ago? Again, when I covered the project, it wasn't on OpenSea yet. It hadn't hit the top in volume, but as I sort of demonstrated in that episode, how they leveraged an existing audience to make a splash in OpenSea. That floor doubled in one day. It has since released. People are blaming the release strategy on a bit of a leveling off because it seemed they were trying to almost get sales of rares up and heated. It was an interesting thing. Like I couldn't figure it out myself. I was just watching them as they were revealing Some of them look super, super amazing. And I just don't know. For me personally, I think, that was part of my criticism. I don't see the utility. I don't see them as, I think they're very unique and cool. I don't see them as unique as something like Crypto Covens, which I'm very high on, or Sad Girl Bar. Those are like, they have such expression. It's like, it stands out in a marketplace that is drowning right now with projects that are very similar. And so I hope they do well, but those were just some of my observations and criticisms that I had with it. But and again, I share these because it's not about like, hey, go FOMO, unless you really believe in this stuff and you do your own research and you're like, hey, this is a great buy for me. I'm looking at the marketplace and I'm looking at the value that we can look at as creators and collectors as to what makes value and what creates value within the space. And so my last bit of sort of, again, 1 foot into the NFT market, we're in a lot of markets here, but we're trying to be very specific. And one of the very specific things that, I like to champion is the picks and the shovels aspect of this, because I don't want to lose sight of, because I love the tech. I'm sort of geeked out about the tech from time to time. And so, as we're building the art, it's good to nod to, you don't have to know everything about the tech, but I think you should understand, like, the things about Akash that run the compute, that's going to power the metaverse, that's going to, and right now we're going to talk about the storage space required to house all this information, all this data, to then run and compute in real time all over the world simultaneously. It's going to take a lot of coordination. And Filecoin, as much as I have held bags for Filecoin for so long, I don't know if it can sustain. Every time I hear about developers working with it, they're not, they're like, scaling wise, it's just not working out. Speed wise, definitely not working out for mints. We found that out very early. And so I was talking to a buddy, and he was talking about Shadow on the Solana marketplace. And it's a very, very specific coin. Again, we're talking about the picks and shovels, and we're talking about a very specific marketplace, Solana. I haven't really talked too much about Solana because I don't have the confidence of Solana. I keep going. I touch it a bit because I want to share with you guys sort of, what that marketplace is and some of the key buys in it in the past. But when it comes to a technology, all I hear is it's down again. Like, it's just like, well, you're supposed to be like this huge improvements, in terms of processing and throughput. You're just a little bit cheaper right now. That's all. But as they improve, and if you have, there's many fans of Solana, so that's a thing. There's a lot of fans out there, and if you are into believing that Solana, in sort of its grab for NFTs, can expand, this is an interesting play, because Shadow is it's kind of running IPFS a little bit in terms of, again, we're going to talk about the nodes and the servers. And so within Solana, it takes like all these nodes, but you need servers to coordinate them, to coordinate the traffic, the traffic lights, if you will. And so Genesis Go is the one that configures these servers to make sure that the validator nodes are running smoothly. And I thought that was a very interesting play, especially given that they did an IPO. Zero financial advice here. This is just an observation, but they did an IPO earlier this month that, or about a month ago, sorry, it's like already February, that didn't do well like every other coin. And so they just released right into this death bear market, which is super, super challenging, and had to ride this humiliating wave down. They had this really interesting NFT release where you could buy an NFT and you would then be dropped tokens, which I thought was very interesting for an IDO. It was a very curious thing. And so it was weird because, again, they had they had listed 100 million and so, and I say weird because it seemed that, their circulating supply ended up only being 31 million. And out of the 100 million that they anticipated, I think that maybe they just didn't plan on so many people buying so many NFTs and condensing the number of wallets, because I think that's what they did is they ended up gifting or dropping, if you bought an NFT, 10,000 coins per NFT holder, which at 250 is pretty significant. And so, you're looking at a $25,000, $2,000 ish if you were late to selling it by a day or so, drop. And so off of a SOL, I think 2.53 cost basis, so an incredible drop for NFT holders. I just haven't seen anything like that, and so that's why I wanted to look at it again, how to combine these worlds of DeFi into NFTs in our projects, and have this token drop as well on top of the NFT, that allows it to have the utility of the token. And so, if this is the thing, that's the problem of the NFTs is, they're about 30 megabytes. They're very specific, but how to make them be the keys into a subset of utility. And I think they have solved it in an interesting way, and this is a nice experiment to keep an eye on. But my mind keeps going to, wow, they're really been beaten down. And again, with a circulating supply of only 31 million, you have a market cap of 31 million on a company that ostensibly controls the traffic of Solana. So, not that I'm ever bullish in a financial sense on something, but something to keep an eye on in the future. But it is a limited marketplace. You're going to have to go to Radium or Orca, a Sol, AMM, just to try and actuate a trade here. So a very specific coin, but it's something that I thought you should keep an eye on. And please like, subscribe, hit the bell notification. I want to bring you all these things, guys, but you have to help me out by pushing the subscribe button. Some people say smash it. I don't want you to hit your screen. I just want you to tap it with your mouse. Subscribe so that I can bring you guys more of these great gems that come across my very, very blessed and fortunate desk, and I hope you guys have a great one as well.